not drunk rant, but a little tipsy rant, celebrating the second night of Vetternatter here. And have something to say that I kind of been thinking about for the last couple of years. So, this has been an issue in the Norse religious, spiritual community for the past 5, 10, 15 years, but slowly this is fading away. People are becoming more educated in the Norse sources and other primitive spiritualities around the world. And people are waking up and starting to see the Old Norse ways and what this was in general all about. But there is still a lot of people trying to practice and believe in the religion in a very incorrect historical way. A lot of these people coming into the Norse religion grew up in very Christian backgrounds, and then they're coming into the Norse religion, and basically all they're doing is they're still Christians, but they're switching out the Christian gods for the Norse ones. And hey, if you're Christian, that's great. Be Christian. I want everyone to follow the beliefs that makes the most sense to them and the beliefs that calls to them. So a lot of the people in the pagan community are going to get mad at me for this, that I don't take a stance against Christianity, but I have nothing against Christians at all in the modern day. Go back 1,000 years, and that's a different story, but all the Christians I know today are good people, and I respect their beliefs. And what people would be surprised to hear is that a lot of these Christian holidays and practices and traditions, they're actually original pagan things. These festivities around Christmas, for example, and even certain parts of Halloween come from the different pagan spiritualities around Europe. So there are many things that paganism and Christianity share, but there are 3 things especially that many people are bringing into the Norse spirituality that have absolutely no business in there. Number 1. This idea of worship me, or this idea of patron gods. I see a ton of this, in people in their Facebook groups, saying they work with Loki, or Freya is my patron god, or I worship Thor. There was never any such thing in the historical Norse tradition. We have some records of something resembling a patron god in the worship in like ancient Greek sources and ancient Roman sources, something like that. Some individuals in that time in ancient Greece, and even in the Norse world, we have some evidence of that a specific god was venerated by a specific people for a purpose. Listen to what I mentioned there. For a purpose, for a very good and logical purpose. This is the key difference between a monotheistic religion, for example, and any of the pagan religions that existed in the world. See, monotheistic religions like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, they do things like building their temples, they worship their god, they do things like this and venerate their gods because that's their god, and that's just what they do. That's what they're supposed to do. That's what their book tells them to do. So it's what they do. But a detailed reason as to why they're supposed to do those things, or exactly the reason behind what is done, that is missing from a lot of these practices. And that's totally fine. You are free to worship whatever god you want in whatever manner you want. I'm just saying that pagans throughout history, whenever they did some sort of religious practice, it was for a reason. I don't even like the words worship or pray for pagan religions. The real word we need to be thinking about is invocations of gods. See, the gods all have a purpose, they all have energies, and they all have very specific functions, and it is the human's goal to basically invoke these divine energies that we call the gods or the spirits or whatever, or forces of nature, in order to get those forces to work in a way that will benefit us and the environment around us. For example, Odin helps with anything relating to war. Freyr helps out with anything relating to fertility and harvest and things like that. And Thor helps with good health or general protection. Guys, there are dozens of sources like this talking about the specific reasons that each god was invoked. Pretty much, every ritual, prayer, act, and even holiday and ceremony that we have in ancient times were meant to attract the right god or spirit to the area, whatever god, and then use that energy to benefit us and work in a way that it is supposed to work, what this energy is put on this earth to do. And depending on the time period and the place in the world, this could be done in multiple different ways. It could be done with temple or worship. It could be done with statues. It could be done with asking or praying to your gods, even with coercing and tricking and sometimes even intimidating your own gods into doing what you want them to do. We see this more as we go back into very primitive kind of hunter-gatherer type cultures, but you get the point. It's all done for the same purpose, in order to invoke the god and somehow get them to do what they are best at in order to benefit us and the environment around us. So you don't just decide one day that you are going to work with Loki now and you make him your patron god because you like him and you like that he got banged by a horse and that resonates with you, okay? Number 2 thing that people have brought into paganism from the monotheistic religions is this idea of you gotta have faith, okay? You see, the reason why I think my channel has grown so quickly, and you guys, thank you for watching so much, the community has grown so big, and it's really, I'm impressed with how many people are interested in these original sources and educations. I think the reason for that is when I speak about these spiritual things, my main goal is to kind of make sense of it all, make sense of confusing things. And my goal is to put all the sources together from ancient times and explain it in a way that makes sense, to make our beliefs sound logical and rational. It might not be right. Our beliefs could all be wrong. I'm not saying that everything that our ancestors believed in or did was right and correct scientifically, whatever you want to call it. And I'm definitely not saying that everything I claim on here is true. But at least it makes sense. At least it's logical. This is what paganism is all about, guys. At the end of the day, all these ancient religions of the world, especially if we look at the ancient Greeks and the Romans, logic and reason was number one. This was the core of it. This is what old philosophy was all about. You all know this, but you just haven't kind of read a lot of these sources from old times about what the Greeks and Romans actually thought and what their beliefs were and their explanation was about the gods and the religions. These people were not dumb, okay? These people were just as smart as us in the modern day, if not smarter. Their brains functioned, and they have a really fantastic way of explaining these ancient religions and why they believed the things they did and why they do the things they do. This is the same type of philosophy that you find everywhere in the world, really, if we go back far enough. So the religious and spiritual beliefs might not be able to be 100% proven by science, but at least it's logical and it makes sense. And this is also why many people have liked my videos now, but a lot of people hate me for it too, because I am making claims and explaining things in a way that make other people's beliefs, some of them following this religion for 30 years, and I'm making them sound like a bunch of dumbasses that believe in a bunch of crap that makes no sense. I understand why they're angry. Some of them have spent half their lives even worshipping some Marvel superhero god and goddess, and they're getting their education, honestly, on paganism from a Wicca book that was written in the last 60 or 70 years. And then they get angry at us when we try to explain things in a way that makes sense, in a way that is logical, but that they don't want to believe, because that means they were basically believing something stupid for half their life. So they just want to continue following their irrational beliefs because that's a more comfortable reality for them. And you ask them why they believe these things. Well, okay, why do you want to believe that thing that makes no sense when I'm explaining it to you in a way that makes a whole bunch of sense? And then what do they say? They say, oh, well, sometimes it's a spiritual belief. You just gotta have faith. You gotta have faith, guys. Do you know what you sound like right now? That's right, you sound like a Christian. The religion that you claim that you hate so much, and now you're acting exactly like one of them. Now, I don't have, like I said, I don't have any problem with Christians. I don't have any problem with any belief system in the world. Everyone should believe whatever they want to believe, as long as it makes sense and it calls to them and these beliefs resonate with them. I have many Christian or maybe Muslim friends or Jewish friends that have explained certain parts of their religion that makes sense to me a lot. I'm like, I end up saying, wow, that's I'm not a part of your religion, but what you said there makes a lot of sense. I actually kind of believe that. So guys, believe whatever you want. Take different parts of different religions and do whatever you like. But let the evidence and the logic and the reason and let your own experiences in life form your personal beliefs. And ideally, you should kind of think about these things and have a questions and have a good explanation as to why you believe the things that you do. If someone asks you to explain it, for example, in a friendly conversation. Not only will that benefit your own spirituality and personal relationships with others too, but it will be better for society as a whole if we do these types of things. Because if we just decide to believe in things that don't make any sense, then we are all just a society full of dumbasses that believe in whatever bullshit is shoved down our throats, and then look, it'll be 2020 all over again. But guys, this has happened many times in history, and it's coming back in strong force now in the past 5-10 years, and we'll see where it's going. This act of a whole bunch of people in the civilization believing whatever is told to them by a ruling power, and I promise you this has happened many times before in history, and this is when really the most disastrous and cruel and unkind and unjust times in history tend to pop up. It's when people just believe what is told to them and don't question it, and just follow orders or just do the things that is expected of you. That is when the worst things show up. But that's all I have to say about that. And number 3 monotheistic thing that doesn't belong in paganism is converting. Guys, I see a lot of this online. How do I convert into Norse paganism? Oh, I converted to the religion 2 years ago. Guys, you already are pagans. All the pagan religion is and has ever been is a way to attempt to explain nature, the world, the universe, and the powers and energy and the way everything works all around us. That's all these ancient texts and gods and events that we read are all about. The rituals, the things that we do in the religion, like the rituals, the worship, the magic, the practices, the holidays, all of those are ways of trying to control or influence those aspects of nature and the universe that we might call the gods or the spirits or forces of nature, whatever. And guys, you have already been doing this your whole entire life. Even more so when we were little kids, actually. You grew out of it now, most of you, but we still carry some of these same beliefs and practices. Like, for example, taking some herbs to help with a certain health issue, or maybe we knock on wood so something doesn't happen. Or even just planting a seed and watering it and giving it sun and hoping that it will grow. These are all pagan animist practices. We just call them superstitions today, but ancient humans had a much better understanding of this and how everything worked. Ancient humans used, sage or mugwort, for example, because they believed that the strong spirit, the energy in these plants, would ward off bad or negative spirits. People would knock on wood because that was believed to wake up the tree spirits that would be hearing them and listening to them and listening to whatever promise they made. And they would plant seeds at certain times of year and do certain rituals to make it grow because they believed that that would attract the proper god, the fertility god or the harvest gods or the sun gods or whatever. There are millions of practices like this from all over the world that a lot of them you are probably still doing every day even. So you already are pagan and you already are animist. The Norse version of paganism is just one way to embark on that quest for knowledge about these spiritual things, but there are many different ways to do this. A lot of you guys are asking me, you know, hey, I'm black or I'm Asian or I'm South American or whatever. Can I come into the Norse religion? Is that okay? Like, you guys are asking me this. Like, man, of course, I don't see the Norse religion as any different than any other pagan religion in the world. We all come from, you know, different lands and climates and natures and cultures and histories in our ancestors. So yes, the myths and the rituals and the practices of certain spiritualities are going to be quite a bit different. But you know, everything is different perceptions and interpretations of the nature around the place where your ancestors have evolved, okay? That's why Thor is a big red-headed strongman in Scandinavia. That's why he's Perun in the east of Europe. That's why he's Hercules in Greece. That's why he's Jupiter in Rome. Indra in India. It's all the same god. It's the same deity and that same divine energy or being. It's just different interpretations of him from place to place. And these are not my ideas, guys. The Romans and the Greeks said this thing more than 2,000 years ago. See my video I did on that. Also, another difference in the religions in the world of, you know, these rituals and practices, for example, the Native Americans, something like that, in the deserts in like Arizona area, they had a lot of rituals and practices to bring the rain, okay? We don't find these same types of things in South America in the rainforest, because why the hell would they need more rain to come there? So they focus on different things and they have different rituals in their religion. Another one, the Norse had some very, very important rituals and practices to bring back the sun, bring back the warmth and the sunlight. These are not practices that you would find in ancient Rome or Greece or Egypt, for example, because why the hell would they need more sun than they already had? They focused their spirituality on other things. They had rituals to invoke the sun too and use it to their benefit, but it wasn't as life and death as it was in the north of Europe. So all these different religions, but in my opinion, they are all the same at the end of the day. So that's it, guys. No need to convert into Norse paganism. You already are pagan, and you know, we are all going after the same quest for knowledge to understand the universe and these spiritual questions. Your ancestors maybe just had a different way of coming to those conclusions than my ancestors did, but we can all learn from each other and we can all work together. So that's my only tips for people embarking on this journey. It's a quest for knowledge, understanding and figuring out the things that make sense to you so that you could form your own beliefs from that. And like I said, believe whatever you want, practice the religion however you want. We just want to be logical about it and do it in a way that goes in connection with thousands of years of ancestry instead of just making up our own shit in the modern day. That's my only tip. So that's all for today. Skål, happy vetternatter, and vi ses nästa gång.